I like using tables kind of various ways. One of them is through loot. Some of them are through storytelling elements, but probably most common is fumble crit tables. So I'm going to begin quickly by just introducing the concept and not sitting there strictly building the whole table. That way you can just stop watching or move on to the next part if you want to. So let's begin with the crit fumble tables. So one, I am not a huge fan of making things harder. I believe missing with a 1 is pretty bad. So I try not to do that. I do like to traumatize the problems. We begin with how to set up the tables themselves. And this is very straightforward. If we list these as a critical hit and a fumble, then these become the two chart labels. You can then go into the options menu, and if we scroll down on the options menu, you'll see attacks, crumble, and crit tables. And if we can turn on both, we can turn on one. But if we do with both, then it will roll off of these tables. That's it. Like, you have now set it up. Now you got to put some stuff in the crit table and the fumble table, but you will now automatically roll on those charts. So I like to include some minor things like this. Like, we can just add more damage, like increases damage by 5 of the same type, right? And if you do something like this, then if we had a character, like, let's go make a character real quick. And by make a character, I mean give a sheet a weapon. Then what you'll see is that we can just modify this so that we can throw a crit, and you can see what I'm talking about. So let's go give him a battle axe, and now he's got this axe. So let's make it so that he's always gonna crit, right? And now when I throw this, it'll tell me that he crits. And you'll see that it rolled off the crit table, right? So this is just me showing you the crit table works. Now, if he got extra damage, right? So like +5 damage, then I can modify the next roll, and when I throw it, it'll know to modify the damage by that amount. So you can do that for a pretty simple critical hit that way. But you can also add other fun maneuvers to this. Like, I do like giving a base there, but then we'll say, knocks the target prone. All right, and now you can make this list as long as you want. If we go with the fumble table, it's less easy to force to happen. Like, you can just make them roll a whole bunch. But then we could say over swings and force to move 5 feet. I like to do stuff like that because it makes them not be where they wanted to be, or shift them in their stance. Or we could even say, hits adjacent target instead of intended. This doesn't even mean that it's strictly bad. If there's two enemies standing nearby each other and the archer misses the one of them with the 1 and he strikes the other target, it's kind of an amusing moment when everybody's like, oh, and then he can play it off. Oh, I totally meant for that target to hit. It likes to build in on the characters themselves. So giving these here, just some examples of putting in critical hit and fumble tables. I like using tables. The next thing we're going to do is shop inventory. So you can build a table off of even rows, number of rows, and things like that. I'm just going to pick something like 6 rows and say equal. You can set this up in another way, but just as an example. So random shop inventory tables. This is for when you run into small towns, or if maybe you like having set blacksmith inventories, you can build up the table to roll randomly what those inventories are. And depending on how you want to store that, you can have it output in different ways. So this inventory, we're just going to say this is a smithy. And then what I can do is from the items table, I can pick items, right? So if it's a smithy table, then let's give them the ability to run into some, minor items. And then you can decide, rarity or how you want them to do percentage of chance to grab these items. But then if we just set up some of these items in the table, give some chance for some armors, and once you set up the table like this, then you can roll off of this table in various ways. So if this is our smithy table, if you want to roll a certain number of times on this, you can just roll it across there. If you want to set it up to come out as individual parcels, you can do that to award the items. But I prefer if it's just a single item, you can roll out onto the chat or something. But let's look at the ability to turn this into kind of a thing. If we go into templates and we grab something like this, and then we can just say, this is going to be a smithy, and then we want the smithy's inventory to be a certain number. So let's just say 2d4 items for no particular reason, and grab this. Then what we can do here is now generate a list. It rolled however many items you want, based off of that. Now this inventory itself can be drug. You can go pin this onto a location. So if it is like a town or something like that and you want to maintain these inventories, you can go ahead and do that. I like using tables. Next up is going to be the random loot. So we are going to show you how to make a bag, right? And now I like to do this for what's in its pockets. People who like to loot every dead body. So, and it doesn't have to be masterfully exciting items, but this is a way to make it so that they can discover items in there. It's also a good way to seed future quest lines. So let's make it a trinket and coins, and then the coins we can decide that in a rare circumstance maybe they're going to find a little more coins than normal. But for coins, we roll them the same way, and we'll just say the 2d4 copper is the normal pocket. But maybe on the off chance, they'll get 1d4 gold pieces. All right. Now, if that might encourage random looting, if you're not into that, then don't do it. And then you can set up a list of items that they can find. I prefer them to be super generic, or they can be interesting. But when somebody goes and loots the thing, we can just display it to chat. If you'll see, I have mine hidden right now, so it won't show them. But when you get to the thing, so that generated the items on here, I can then just go and reveal the items to them. If you're trying to discourage them from just looting everything, then low amounts of gold or very random items can do that. Doing it this way, where you just reveal it in chat, means that they have to create the item into their own inventory. So if you do this as parcels, you can let the items generate themselves and just dump them into someone's inventory. So if you don't mind them collecting items at random, some people like that to be a character thing, that they take trophies off of, we'll say, their victims. And if that's the case, then, let them have it. All right, well, that was the quick and dirty tables and how you can use them.